Are you tired of dying with your Magic Find build? Do you get less than 8000 wisp in most of your map runs? And did you quit the league too early? Here's a video that'll help you to get back into PoE Affliction Magic Find League so that you will never have to fail again. This channel is made for the community and is funded by the community, and I'm just the voice. So if you have anything to add or criticize, make sure to leave it down in the comments below. The whole purpose of these videos is to flatten the extreme curves of player experience so that all of us can learn together and have fun together. So without further ado, let's get into the number one factor is rolling your maps. Snoobay has a great video on this. Ideally, you want maps that don't brick your build. Then you want to look for +2 proj and other great stuff like Beyond. I always use Exalted Orb on maps with +2 proj because the end result from these maps always pay off extremely well. So when you open a map, a 50% of pack size is considered as a good start. But no matter what, never roll a map with less recovery rate of life. This is the worst map mod in the game for most builds. If you do come across stuff like this, use Orb of Annulment or re-roll it. Trust me, a map with a bit lesser pack size is better than a map you can barely finish. If your build cannot handle reflect maps, there's a cheap sextant which you can use to run these with a bonus of extra pack of monsters. Also, if you're farming strongboxes with Wandering Path, make sure to use Strongbox Corruption Sextant. Also, you need to understand the implication of running a map if you're doing Wandering Path with all the increased effect nodes at the top. This means every map mod is significantly relevant to your mapping experience. When it comes to gathering wisp, top priority is blue, then yellow, then purple. Understanding the overall diamond layout of the Wildwood is important by now. You can spawn any area of the Wildwood, but if you discover 2 events, you can tell the location of the other 2. And after playing several Magic Find builds, I've noticed the ease of non-totem bow builds to gather much higher wisp from off-screen. My build here has got very high range, which is basically projectile speed. It also scales as damage from bow mastery. Even if you're not familiar with the Wildwood layouts, projectiles from these can attract tons of wisps towards you. They not only track the events where the monsters are, but also helps you detect walls and dead ends more often. This was mentioned in my earlier video. Monsters in Wildwood also scale with pack size of your map. If you enter the Wildwood with the wrong build, I will show you a trick which you can utilize in some cases. So basically you can open a portal in Wildwood and switch characters to continue the wisping. It can be useful when you're leveling another build to complete certain quests. However, this will not work if your character dies in the Wildwood though, which is why a basic set of defenses are essential for your ranged build. Screen resizing. This trick was also mentioned in my earlier video, and this was also brought to my attention by a Snoobay video. I use this every time I enter the Wildwood. Easily spot the white wisp, and when the portal opens, I switch back to the window at full screen. It doesn't take much time, as I said earlier. It's worth spending a bit extra time in the Wildwood than in your maps. Your MF builds must have some form of basic defenses instead of relying completely on headhunter stacks. Master Surgeon for Ranger MF builds is very powerful. This video might raise the price from 3 to 100 divines for the Forbidden Jewels, but it is what it is. In order for your Progenesis to be more effective, you need tons of life regen. Rolling the life flask is important as well. You need as much duration of flask effect along with immunity to bleeding and corrupted blood somewhere in your build setup. No matter what you add into your defenses, there will always be something that bricks your build. Which is why I would like to ask, have you encountered maps where you juiced up too much and clicked on the wrong altars? And did you have maps that were extremely rewarding, but there was this one rare monster that wouldn't allow you to complete the map? When I was faced with situations like this, I made this guy, who's pretty slow AF, but he's literally unkillable in any map, except the less recovery ones. Special thanks to Simply Wizness, where I found the build from. He has a full guide on this AFK cast 1 stun build. I recommend you check it out, because this can be even made in less than a divine. But my character here has a few upgraded modifications, which costed me around 150 divines to assemble. Links to the build I'm using is in the description below. This is extremely useful for primary builds that rely on headhunter stacks for power. So how tanky should the secondary build be? Well, tanky enough to face tank a detonate death, like this guy. A build like this is perfect for the hardest maps with stuff like Delirium, Abyss and beyond. It is totally fine to switch characters in certain situations. At this point of PoE, having at least 30% of Chaos Rest is important, no matter how tanky your build is. Most of the mobs in the Wildwood deal tons of chaos damage, and if your character dies in the Wildwood, you're better off opening up another map than running it. There's so many ways to stack your chaos resistance. Don't rely entirely on flasks, unless you're a Pathfinder. The most effective roll can be obtained from your main gear. Rare jewels can roll up to 13%. Purity of Elements Watcher's Eye can get up to 50. You can get Chaos Rest from Charms, especially for Endurance Charge stackers. Now, most Magic Find builds are slow way-ups. You can get away with Quicksilver and Headhunter in the maps, but when it comes to Wildwood, you have to be fast enough to backtrack, scout, and collect whatever that is remaining there. This is why I use a weapon swap with the shield charge linked to faster attacks. I can't tell how efficient this is. It saves so much of time, especially after the portal opens. Next up is planning and trading. It is extremely important to have a proper plan. When it comes to the list of scarabs and sextants to run on your maps, there is no casual way to make profit from magic finding. You have to use scarabs and sextants with the proper build regardless of what people say. The RMTers don't want regular players to make currency in the game, as it makes their profit worth more. And acolytes who believe the RMT streamers will be foolish enough to trust them. Our goal here is to flatten the economy so that everyone makes profit. So roll your maps, choose a solid Atlas tree which suits your build. Apply sextants that benefit from the Atlas strat, and use the right set of scarabs. For this, you will have to buy some items in bulk. I don't care if it's TFT or a third-party website. I personally use the PoE trade site, and most people there offer items in bulk, which is exactly what you're looking for. Now here's a piece of good news coming from GGG for 3.24, which shows that they do value their paying customers.
It does matter in PoE2. Basically, yes, we understand the facts. In general, we are trying very hard to avoid any situation where where a thing that someone would want to trade is not itemized.
Yeah. And to specifically address Aisling Slam, that I believe there's some changes coming with that in the next patch as well.
I think there are a bunch of things getting itemized in the next PoE1 update.
Rarity and quantity from your gear has diminishing returns, but ideally you want to have at least a total of 50% quantity factor from gear. As long as you're using reliquary scarabs, you can get away with lesser rarity, and you can debate with me how much ever you want. I have a full detailed video about loot conversions, backed by Maxroll, GGG, and the updated PoE wiki pages. If you want to see more wing scarabs in your loot explosions, you have to use reliquary scarabs. I have tested several maps with and without this. There's a good reason why top magic finders like Empyrean and Snoobay use winged version of reliquary scarabs. These are currently the most expensive scarabs due to their extreme demand. People who do RMT will make videos to disqualify me on this. I appreciate the criticism, but I'd like to see the same people run a single juiced map without their reliquary scarabs. But the most important thing you need to know is that do not sacrifice too much of your build power for quantity and rarity mods on your gear. There's so many ways you can scale your loot. Examples of these are rolling high value maps, stacking even more pack size with Delirium and beyond, adding tormented monsters, and number 4, just playing with a group that sticks together. You might be wondering if you can cheat a party play with multiple accounts running a solo map. It doesn't work that way. Party bonus requires that the players are close to each other, which is basically a maximum of 1 screen apart from each other. Even if a character dies, that person should not exit the zone. The rest of the team will gain his benefits, as long as they're close to his character's corpse. This applies to the rarity, quantity, and experience bonus that you get from stacking party members. I cannot stress this enough. Setting up your loot filter is extremely fundamental for endgaming in PoE. I've demonstrated how to edit your loot filters in Notepad in my earlier video. Make sure to check it out if you haven't. One thing I'd like to add is that it is most certain that we've all missed out on a drop T0 unique at some point of our juiced mapping. To make sure we don't leave our Mage Bloods and Headhunters on the ground, either set your loot filter to show only the base types of those uniques, or just hover over the uniques which are highlighted if you're using Neversync's default version. And finally, there's a good reason why top magic finders use Headhunters and Mage Bloods instead of Viscose Leash and other budget options. Magic find builds are extremely weak compared to proper endgame builds. If you're using Headhunter, you have to rely on stacks of its buffs. This means you cannot afford to wait a second longer other than to click altars once you start killing monsters. Choosing between Mage Blood or Headhunter depends on the build and flask you use. As mentioned in my previous video, Mage Blood is at an all-time low right now. If you haven't tried one, this is your best opportunity. I have seen builds in PoE Ninja that use Mage Blood with flasks that use Instilling Orb, like used when charges reach full. Do not waste it like them. Use Enkindling Orbs with increased effect as much as you can get if you're using a Mage Blood. Now, I don't care if you're a top level streamer or an influential Genopu person in the community. We all make mistakes. We can all criticize and review each other when we make mistakes for the greater good. But if somebody wants to manipulate the market to make real world money, like some of the clowns in TFT Mirror Shop, it should be called out. Nobody deserves to be harassed and labeled for having a different point of view, especially in the PoE community. And if you feel that I'm wrong and this person is right, you should test it yourself and see. A low-level IQ person would be an acolyte to believe anything that a famous person tells them. There's so many outdated stuff in PoE Wiki, though people are working tirelessly to update it. This doesn't make that platform as misguiding. The bottom line is, you as my dear viewer have every right to your own opinion and beliefs. This is how the world works. If somebody calls you something, it doesn't make you that. Which is why I'm willing to hear what you have to say in the comments below. What are your ideas that you can contribute to the community? I thank each and every one of you 4,000 subscribers who are listening to me. And to you dear viewers who haven't subscribed yet, I thank you for listening and peace.